I am the true alpha male, the living legend of hair loss, and your personal hairline hero. Let's get to work, because we always have work to do. The business of hair loss never sleeps. Notice I said business. Now, granted, I'm not the one trying to convince you to buy some kind of thing to save your hair. The business is you spend your time watching and I make money from the ads. It's still a business and I recognize that, but ultimately, I'm here to internally cure you of the need to watch my own videos. I understand that's not good for business, but the demand for this is so high, it doesn't matter that I'm constantly trying to get people to stop watching my videos. Every time someone stops watching a video, or stop watching my channel, he's instantly replaced by 5 more people. That's how it's been. I've been doing this for 5 years. I know the system. This is how it works. So it's nothing but growing here. Let's talk about hair loss. What's this one about? And you know how unrehearsed it is. I literally get my phone in my garage and just read the next comment. That's how this channel works. The video was called Norwood 2 with thinning hair. Shave your head right now. A very popular video. Someone who goes by the screen name of listen to Primus to actually he ... So whoever that is had this to say, quote, "Whenever my dad goes to shave his head, my mom," so that means this person is in England, "becomes hysterical." Shocker, she's a woman, and tells him she'll cut it because she doesn't like him with a shaved head. Why doesn't she like it? Well, I took one of your theories about undealt with past trauma. Thank you. You know what? I respect you. I'm so grateful that you're saying, this is my first time reading this comment. I didn't even know what this video was going to be about. So this is honestly my first time. Thank you. See, look, so many of my viewers long to earn my respect. And most of them don't have it because they continue to think like a beta. But one of the ways you become an alpha is you recognize undealt with trauma in your life often holds you back. And for some of my viewers, that's why they're Peter Pan mentality. They're in their 30s, they're still worried about their looks. They never moved on with their life. They never dealt with that. You're talking about this. I respect you already. Yes, I respect you. It's very hard to get my respect if you're one of my viewers, but you've already got it. I'm not even halfway through this comment yet. Good for you. Man, I like you. Okay. So I took one of your theories about undealt with past trauma, and I can remember my mother telling me of a time when she was chased by skinheads and attacked her in her youth for hanging around with a group of people that those men didn't like. Man, that is trauma right there. And thank you for noting the importance of that. This is setting a bad example on me as a young man with a Norwood 2 hairline who will likely be balding by age 30 as my father was. He's only a Norwood 3 now and pushing 50. I don't care if I'm a perceived thug in her eyes. Haha, almost like your perceived villain saying. Man, it's funny because this is the day after my 39th birthday. This is the first video I've actually filmed. I don't know in what order I'll release this, but this is the first one of the set that I'm doing. You know, I'll do probably at least half a dozen or more. It's nice to start off doing one that I respect this topic. Usually at the time it's just me doing like a face palm, like, okay, here's another one of these silly comments, but there's so much maturity in this. Like I love being able to celebrate maturity. I love it. I love seeing that journey, the walk away from a future of being a Peter Pan beta and instead recognizing that being a true alpha male is in here. It's your mindset. It's not how you look. Man, so much praise for this viewer. Again, listen to Primus. I'll just call you that. I'm calling you Listen to Primus. Primus was a band back when I was in high school, when I started high school in 95. There was a band called Primus. I wonder if that's what that's referencing. Okay, so let's see what Stinky Cheese. Speaking of beta, Stinky Cheese said, "You're being brainwashed by Nick Shell. His advice is to set out deliberately to fail young men so they have no choice but to go and get a hair transplant. Nick is a secret hair transplant advertiser, and he used BRB shampoo to keep his hair for this length of time." That's funny. Stinky Cheese is great. I really do love Stinky Cheese. It's perfect comic relief, and Stinky Cheese at least recognizes how tongue-in-cheek this whole channel is, and even the character that I play. I actually respect Stinky Cheese as an arch nemesis. So even, can you believe I'm being that honest, Sticky Cheese? But back to maturity. Let's be mature again. We're going to talk about this whole thing about this guy's mom. This guy in England, his mom was chased by skinheads. There's perceived racism things that she was kind of dealing with, and that sort of thing. So, and it's funny because I had made a video before, every year and a half I shave my head. And it's funny because what I will get, well, let me compare to this. So on a daily basis, I'll get one comment saying, Nick, you look so much better with hair, because they just watched me do a video from, 8 months ago when I had a shaved head. And at the same time, somebody else watches that video from 8 months ago and says, Nick, you look so much better with the shaved head. Nick, you look so much with hair. And it's like, so it's that same concept as far as this goes. This is what made me think of the concept of looking like a skinhead, and that is a negative thing, or a thug, a criminal. Very outdated thinking. And I'm wondering, like, how old is your mom? Because, I mean, that almost indicates your mother's like senior citizen status to still have that mindset that you're unprofessional if you have a shaved head. That's really, really outdated. I feel that here in the United States, and maybe that's part of it, here in the United States, it's much more commonly respected and withheld. But now, pretty much, unless you're like so old you're like in a nursing home kind of thing, like, I feel that most women especially accept it, that it's a very respectable look at this point, that it actually, the perspective has totally changed on that. So I'm sorry that your mother feels that way. I'm sorry that she's carrying over that negative connotation to her husband, who's your father. That's not easy on him. It's not good that she's carrying that over to you. And this is a challenging thing, because I do strongly believe in the importance of respecting your parents. That's huge. That totally matters. That's one of the most important things in life, is to respect your parents. But it's also a matter of being emotionally intelligent enough, which you are, to recognize that sometimes their perspective is not the best. And it's a matter of understanding they have a different perspective, but still being you despite that. Because ultimately, you indicated that you are younger, and you've indicated that there's a good chance you will be balding in your 30s. If I were you, I'd want to be shaving my head if that was the case. And I'd want to fully embrace that, which it already seems that you are. So yeah, it's a challenge. Here's another thing I can appreciate about you. There's nothing in your comment indicating, oh no, I'm young and I'm going to go bald. Instead, what you're saying is that you are mature enough to recognize that if you were a weak-minded person, that you would allow this to internally destroy you. Well, my mom doesn't like my dad shaving his head. She's not gonna like me shaving my head. All this stuff. That's irrelevant. At some point, you have to be who you are and embrace that, and embrace that masculinity. So yeah, I mean, it's funny because I have a viewer, Extreme Arnold or something like that, and he says that I'm not sympathetic, I'm not kind to people that I respond to. And what's funny is usually I can agree. Usually I'm dealing with immature betas, or I'm dealing with Peter Pans, who are the same people, they just never grew up. But what we would find is if I had more mature people leaving comments, then you're gonna get a lot of sympathy from me. You're gonna get a lot of praise from me. You're gonna get a lot of kind words and encouragement. Unfortunately, those comments aren't necessarily the mainstream what's coming in. But man, if every single video I could do is me being supportive like this, I would rather do that. I am just so proud that I have viewers out there that are being smart. They're being mature. They're getting rid of the weak-minded beta mentality, instead thinking, okay, what control do I have over this? But man, again, the final bit of praise for this person. They're not even worried about their hair loss. That makes me so proud. That makes me so proud. That is thinking like an alpha. And it's going to be a little bit challenging to toggle between respecting your mother, which obviously is supreme, and then at the same time, as you do go bald, recognizing that even if she perceives you as a thug, that ultimately you have to do what's right for you. And it's a matter of, she'll have to, that's part of her character arc. She'll have to get through that. In the video, now I remember what I wanted to say a minute ago, is that when I shave my head, whereas half the people say you look better bald and the other half say you look better with hair, also half the people will say you look like you're a Nazi, and the others will say you look like you're in a Jewish concentration camp, which is funny because about a third of my DNA is German, and then there's a decent amount that's Jewish as well. So I actually am the face of both, I guess, the Nazi and the Jewish person in that camp. So it's just funny to see how perspectives work, but it goes back to the alpha male mentality. What defines an alpha male? Someone who's confident, regardless of what other people think about him or say about him, regardless of how he perceives other people say, he's confident internally, just as you are. I am so glad you're here. Comments,